overtime in Dallas, a look at the last month of hockey for the Ducks, and much more on this episode of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And welcome, everydayers. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Kyle Carr. I'm a lifelong Anaheim Ducks fan, and I've spent multiple years covering collegiate sports, including college hockey. And today we are talking Anaheim Ducks. It was a big one out there in Dallas tonight as the Ducks took on one of the top teams in the league. We're going to break down that game and how that went. And then I'm going to go into kind of just the last month that has occurred for the Ducks and what that's looked like. And then going to talk about, is it time for the F word? And it's not the F word that you're thinking. So that and more. But first, let's get into tonight's game against Dallas Tuesday night. My goodness, after the St. Louis game on Sunday, it was looking pretty grim for the Ducks. My hopes were not very high on how tonight would go. I was kind of expecting a blowout, not going to lie, but they turned it around. They had some time off. Yesterday, we got to talk to Alex Killorn. You got to hear what the locker room mentality was like. And then today, Cronin kind of mixed up the lines for us. For the Ducks, started with Vetrano, Carlsson, and Killorn on the first line. Gauthier, Strome, and Terry on the second. Nestorenko, McTavish, and Zegras on the third. And then Harkins, Lundestrom, and Leeson on the fourth. Those guys have been pretty much together the whole time. And the defense remaining just about the same with Lacombe and Gudis, Zellweger and Trouba, Minchikov and Hellison. And then Dostal got the net tonight. So, the first thing that we have to talk about in the game tonight is the Anaheim Ducks power play continues to fail, at least at the beginning of the game. It was a little slow start for both teams. Literally, there was 2 shots on goal by Anaheim by the 2-minute mark, and only about 6 by Dallas at that point in the 2 minutes left in the first period. There was pretty good defense back and forth, kind of a physical, fast game. The Ducks looked a little scrambled at first, and the Ducks power play, they finally get one. They got the first power play of the game, but nothing happened. They're just passing. They actually got entries this time, but just passing. That's basically all that there was. Then Dallas comes back. They get a power play right after the Ducks power play fails. Dallas gets a power play, and Wyatt Johnston gets a massive tip. The defenseman for Dallas just shoots it in, and Wyatt with a little sneaky tip gets it in for Dallas. So the Ducks start the game down 1-0. One of the things that stuck out to me during the first period, there was a massive, beautiful play by Lacombe. He has the puck in the offensive zone, right? And then the stick crushes on him, completely snaps. He doesn't have a stick. Dallas starts to exit the zone. Dallas's Jamie Benn has the puck, and Lacombe just doesn't panic. He skates, gets on his high horse, and crushes Benn into the boards, basically putting him into the bench. So love to see that from Lacombe. Love to see the effort to get back. And that's kind of what sparked, in my eyes, the rest of their performance in that night. Like I said, the first period, very, very slow for both teams. The end of the period ended with Ducks with 4 shots and Dallas with 9 and the 1-goal lead. After that little flat performance by the Ducks, though, the second turned it up. They started to they were buzzing out there. They were starting to look really good. not even 5 minutes into the second period, we got Nestorenko getting a beautiful, beautiful goal. He was pretty much the Ducks had it down low, and it goes up to the D. They had a great movement down below. There was some traffic and some back and forth passing. Unfortunately, it gets broken up kind of off their own stick. But the defenseman picks it up, moves it over to Minchikov, and then Minchikov rips a nice shot right off the hop as soon as he gets it on his tape. And at the same time, Nestorenko is kind of doing a flyby screen and just gets his stick on it, and it's right in the back of the net. We got a tie game. So that was good. Good effort from Nestorenko. He finally gets a goal that's not against St. Louis. Gotta love that. However, a few minutes later, Granlund on Dallas. He comes down. Beautiful play. He breaks it out, gives it off to Duchesne on the near boards. So if you're watching from TV on the right side, gives it to the near boards, and then Duchesne enters the zone, kind of halts up, and he sees Granlund coming back up on the far side, moves the puck through. It's a little weird hop, gets into Granlund's skates, and I don't know if just the Dostal didn't think that he was going to be able to recover that or what, but by the time he does get on his stick, he's kind of in an bad angle, almost to the red line. Dostal tries to pinch on the post, but somehow Granlund finds the hole. It's 2-1 Dallas. Progress later into the period. There was a crazy sequence of penalties. Ducks, they had an unfortunate turnover, and then they couldn't get it out of the zone, so they get a terrible penalty. The way the pressure was going, it looked like Anaheim was going to lose and get another goal given up. But during that penalty or the power play for Dallas, we had Rantanen cross-check one of the players, as Lacombe. He cross-checks Lacombe in the back. So then we get 4-on-4 hockey. And then as they're playing the 4-on-4 hockey, Gudis and Marchment, it was the weirdest thing because Marchment comes in, he has the puck, and then moves it and cuts to go into towards the center of the ice, and Gudis is right there. They both just smash into each other. However, Marchment gets his hands kind of up high when he does run into Gudis. So if you're listening to the Anaheim Ducks broadcast, they were kind of assuming that that's why Marchment was given the penalty, because he did end up getting a penalty on that. He was arguing, of course, that it was just a collision. So a little controversy on that call. Ducks get a 4-on-3 power play. The 4-on-3 ends. It ends up being a 5-on-3 for a little bit. And then Carlsson, there's a beautiful play down low. They get it low. It's bouncing around. And then the puck gets shot on Ottinger. He has no idea where it is. And one of the sticks kind of touches it. Wasn't sure if it was one of the Duck sticks or one of the Dallas sticks. And finally, it starts moving loose under his pads. He never has it covered. Carlsson pokes it into the back of the net. Ducks celebrate, but the ref waves it off. So they think that the wave off was because he was trying to blow the whistle, that it was covered, that he lost coverage. So you're sitting here thinking, okay, what's going on? It looked like it was before the whistle, but is it the intent to blow the whistle? And then they're talking to the Ducks bench, and all of a sudden they say, wait. Anaheim's challenging for goaltender interference. And you're like, it's their goal. Why are they challenging for goaltender interference? They didn't really say it. The refs didn't announce it, but they waved it off because they called it goaltender interference. So that's why they said no goal. Ducks challenge. It gets reviewed. There's no interference whatsoever. Good goal. Ducks tie the game 2-2. Now with about 39 seconds left. I mean, the penalty happened a little bit before, so under a minute. Carlsson gets completely slashed down near the blue paint. And so that we think a delayed penalty, but it ends up being a penalty shot. Carlsson, oh my gosh, the hands on this kid are just beautiful. He takes it wide, comes around, the boos start raining down from Dallas. He goes in, fakes to the backhand, Ottinger bites, and then he pulls it back forehand, back of the net. Ducks have their first lead of the game, 3-2 going into the third. But then third period, unfortunately, Dallas ties it back up. It was Harris that got the goal for them, or Hartley, sorry, gets a beautiful shot. Unfortunate, the Ducks could not clear the puck. Of course, Thomas Harley gets a great top corner on Dostal. So another defensive breakdown. Pretty much the Dallas comes in, gets a shot off. The puck goes wide. I don't know what Terry's doing. I think he thinks that one of the other Ducks players is going to get to it or something, but he kind of just stands where he is, tries to get in the way of the Dallas player rather than just going and getting the 50-50 puck. It results in a board battle. The Ducks lose the board battle. And then after the board battle is going on and everything, while that's happening, we have Harley sneak down. Frank Vetrano's just watching what's going on the boards, notices Harley coming down. By the time he reacts and tries to get to him, it's too late. It's on Harley's stick, and he rips one top corner. It's a tied game. Luckily for the Ducks, they continue the pressure. It goes to overtime. Ducks get a point out of the game. And then all of a sudden in overtime, Dallas has possession. Looks like that Harley is going to sneak it down to Harley and Hintz. Sorry, completely drawing a blank there. Harley and Hintz are working the puck around together. Hintz gets the shot on to Dostal, or he tries to sneak this pass through, kind of like a shot pass to Harley as he's crashing the net, but Dostal breaks it up, pokes it away, and then McTavish looks like he's about to get the puck. The puck hops, and Trouba's thinking that McTavish is getting it and doesn't pay attention to Garland, who comes right down, sneaks under, past Trouba, and just has an easy shot. And then Dallas wins it. So unfortunate for Anaheim that they couldn't come away with the 2 points, but they did get a point against one of the top teams. Pretty positive stuff. Things that aren't so positive, we got to look at the last month. We're going to do that after the break. So stay tuned as we got plenty of more to talk about on Locked On Ducks today. This episode is brought to you by Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives business flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Now, I sometimes work on film sets, and obviously there's not going to be people that you need all the time. So sometimes you just need quick people to help with lighting or set building or whatever it is. Upwork allows me to put the job out there. I get the right people, and then it's just super easy for everyone to get the job going. And then our film project does not have to get delayed. So obviously, I got to use Upwork, and you got to do it too. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. This episode is also brought to you by Gametime. It's game time. Game time. There's nothing like watching basketball live, the energy of the crowd, the sound of sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity sighting courtside. If you want to catch a game in person, Gametime makes getting tickets easier than ever. Gametime's new feature, Gametime Picks, filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. Look, we got another Ducks home game coming up soon. Got to get some tickets. You're debating if you want to go, and then also, you're like, all right, I got to go. Go to Gametime. You're going to have amazing seats for great prices. You could get into the door of Honda Center right away. So make sure you take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. That's Locked On NHL. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time! We are back here with some info that is going to really help kind of give you an idea of what the last month has looked like for Anaheim and how the team has ended up where they are. If you were tuned in about 2 weeks ago, you were here with me. We were riding the high of roller coasters as we thought that the Ducks were going to get into the playoffs, that they were so close. They were only 6 points out. They were on a tear. They had every opportunity to get the gap shut down. But unfortunately, that has not been the case for this team. They have completely gone on a skid the last month, and it's just unfortunate that, I mean, they do have a younger squad. As we had Alex Cloran on yesterday, he was talking about that there's still a young squad. It's only been a year since the young squad they had last year. So obviously these kids are still coming into the league. And this is the first time that a lot of these players are, one, having this long of a season, and two, playing meaningful games in the late season in the NHL. So there's a lot of room for growth. It's not all doom and gloom for the foreseeable future of Anaheim, but for this season remaining, it's definitely a little cloudy with a chance of rain. It looks, the one thing that was kind of interesting today, Cronin actually mixed up the lines. As we talked about earlier, I kind of broke down the lines of what tonight's game looked like. And honestly, that was one of the first times that I think I've seen him completely change the lineup prior to the game. And they did pretty good. It was a little slow at first, that's to be expected when you get new lines, getting into the game, getting into the groove of things. But then you got the second and third, they started to really turn it around, especially against an aggressive and fast team like Dallas. The only thing that kind of was interesting to me, or it felt like off, is that, yeah, they mix up the lines, but overall, this theme of the last few games is that there's really no system in place. It seems like there's no structure, no game plan, no like legitimate system where you could say we are applying Ducks hockey or they are applying the Anaheim forecheck, or like it's, when people talk about like Tampa or Florida or Edmonton, like they talk about the specifics about the team, like it's a noticeable trend of style of play of hockey. And I don't think there is a trend for this style of hockey for the Ducks right now. But they used to be a good transitional team. And then way back, they used to be the physical team when we had Kessler and Getzlaff and Perry and Eves. They played a very, very hard style. They kept it outside, but then they had someone crash in the net, Corey Perry. Then there's always someone irritating the front of the net. Now there's there was only a few times where there was traffic in front of Ottinger, especially on the power play. I was going to take a screenshot and show it on here, but it was like literally all 5 of the penalty power play players were on the outside perimeter, and not a single person was in the slot or in the high slot. There was no one in the middle. Everyone was around the perimeter. Easy time for the penalty killers. Some of the numbers that need to stick out to you and are very, very daunting, but important to look at. The Ducks have lost 7 out of their last 10 games, which is the entire month of March. There's only been 10 games in March, and the Ducks have lost 7 out of those 10. With 14 games left, they still have games against Edmonton, LA, Winnipeg, and Colorado. Those are huge teams that are going to give the Ducks a massive challenge. I know they went up to Edmonton, and the Ducks played really well against the Oilers, but you cannot beat a team like Edmonton that bad that late in the season. They're going to turn things around. LA's doing fantastic right now. Winnipeg's a big team, Colorado, and that's just to name a few. There's still a lot of chase teams like the Nashville Predators that they got to play coming up next. So there's still a lot of teams ahead of them. They have one of the hardest schedules out of the last 14 compared to the rest of the league. So a little unfortunate that that's the battle and the hill that they have to climb. Their power play success in the last 5 games, they've had 2 successful power plays out of 14 chances. 2 out of 14. That is 14%. That is it. That is abysmal. And then the penalty killing success in the last 5 games, they've at least killed off 10 out of 16 penalties given up. So their killers are doing really well on the penalty. That's 62%. However, their season average is 72%. Some players that are doing pretty swell right now. Carlsson has 5 points in his last 5 games, and he's finally gotten the goal column again twice tonight. So that's a good light up. Love to see Carlsson back in the goal column. You know he's going to definitely get some confidence out of that. Gauthier has 4 points in the last 5 games, so he's still doing pretty swell. Zegras has 3 in the last 5, but he is scoreless in the last 2. So he's been one of the players that's kind of mixing around on the lines. So I definitely want to see some offense opportunities out of him, especially in Nashville. It's a little weaker team. We know Zegras can shoot and at least make some beautiful plays. So that comes back to kind of the issues that I've been noticing, and we'll be talking about that in the next segment of is it time for the F word? Is it time to move on from certain people? What needs to change in the squad, and what can we look forward to in the offseason? And another thing that needs to be looked at is that there's only 7 total points amongst defensemen in the last 5 games. Or actually, yeah, in the last 5. Sorry, that's the math that I did. 7 total points amongst defensemen in the last 5. So, and 3 of those are from the same player. So, like I said, up next, we are going to go into some of the questions that are being raised and kind of the word on the street from the feedback that I've been getting from fans, either at the Honda Center or out in town or online. So stay tuned for that and kind of get into the rumor mill with me.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Welcome back. Time to get to what the word on the street is. I've been talking to a ton of people, whether at the Honda Center or out in town or online, people that are Orange Alliance members, which is the Ducks season ticket holder group, or just regular casual fans, or like I was wearing a Ducks shirt today as I went bowling, and the guy working at the bowling alley started asking me about the team and asking me questions. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? So these are kind of the main topics that have been coming up that I've been hearing. As you can see on the bracket there on the rundown, is it time to use the F word? And that F word is fire. Is it time to fire someone? And who would you fire? And who is the one that's going to get the boot if anyone does get the boot? Is it Pat Verbeek? Is it Greg Cronin, the coach? Or is it just completely clearing out the assistant coaching staff and bringing in a special teams guy and a defensive guy? What is the path? What is the path for the team right now? Personally, I do not think it is time to even think about using the F word for either Verbeek or Cronin. However, the staff needs to get changed. Definitely the assistant coaching and whoever is running the special teams needs to get the boot. I don't want to drop their name because obviously that's just, no pressure on them, but there needs to be a change. Either they need to get the boot or they need to spend a hard summer studying and researching and completely readapting the power play, because that is not working. Every single person I've heard talk about the power play has mentioned how sick and tired they are of the drop back pass. I know I've been complaining about it. Even Brian Hayward's been talking about it on the broadcast. And when I'm sitting next to the fans, even at the Nashville game, they stop, they do the pass, and you can hear an audible groan across the entire Honda Center as all the fans are like, oh, here we go. Here comes the drop back pass. So there needs to be a change there. The only thing that I could say would lead me to wanting to look at a coaching change for the head coach is the lack of game time decisions by Cronin. It seems like he sticks to a game plan before the game, and once the game kind of goes off the rails, there's really not a lot of changes. There's not a lot of mixing up. There isn't like a spark under the boot. Like, come on, boys, like motivate those boys, motivate the guys, like give them a little something. It seems like they just they're static. They don't go down, they don't go up. It's just like they are in the state that they're in. I know it was reported kind of at the beginning of the season by certain podcasts that there's rumblings from friends and agents and people close to the players that they were that Cronin was losing the locker room, and that there was a lack of communication or a lack of like acceptance of his word. It was kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever, dude. Like, when you get that one person at work that just constantly harps and harps and harps, but like they don't really do anything about it. They just kind of complain or like have something to say, but there's really no like evidence to back it up. That kind of person. Seems like that was kind of the vibe. But you heard from Alex Killorn yesterday, and he's talking about how there's still a possibility to hunt for the playoffs, and that there still need to be hungry, and that the message in the locker room is to continue to show up and do the little things right every single day. So there is at least a focus. And if you look at the way that the team was last year compared to this year, there has been a lot of changes and there has been an improvement. So that's where I don't want to draw the line and say, hey, it's time to get rid of this guy. I don't want anyone to lose their jobs, and I have faith. I try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And looking at the overall record of the team compared to last year, I think those little things can be talked about in the offseason and worked on. When it comes to Verbeek, I feel like I'm kind of starting to call him Pat Snoozbeek instead of Pat Verbeek, because I'm not seeing like a lot of movement and action. The last offseason was a little slow. The trade deadline's been a little slow. So what I'm looking from him when it comes to the end of the season, be active during the draft, be active during the offseason, and bring some people in. At the Ducks migration, where he was talking to the Orange Alliance members, he mentioned that he wants a top 6 forward with scoring capability and more or less a center type position. So some of the players that I'm thinking that he could target that are going to be UFAs next year, we have the cap space. The Ducks are in a great lucrative position to be able to offer some players some lucrative contracts to bring them out to Orange County. You heard Killorn said that it's the most beautiful place to play hockey, and that people that aren't even on the Ducks would say that this is the most beautiful place to play hockey. So we have so many selling points, the OC vibes being built. There's all these things that are happening around the team, the growth and the progression of the youth. So who wouldn't want to come play for this team, especially if you're a UFA and you get offered the big bucks? So players that I would target. We got Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett out in Florida Panthers. That guy is a menace. Could you imagine that guy on the Ducks just wrecking havoc? And he definitely has the scoring capability. You could see the difference in the way the Panthers were pre-Sam Bennett, post Sam Bennett. And when he's not in the lineup, there's a massive difference in the way he plays. And he's only a $5 million cap hit. What about Brock Besser? He's a $7 million cap hit-ish. He's at just under 7 million at like 6.5. But if you need to give a little sweet in the pot, 7 million cap hit, not too bad, not too bad. And that guy can definitely put the puck in the net, but not sure if he's kind of the physical, larger type player that Verbeek would want. So then what about Matt Duchene? Matt Duchene, we've seen the way that he can play. He's a game changer when he went to Columbus and Dallas, and every team that he shows up on and plays for ends up being a very strong and competitive team. And he's only at a $3 million cap hit. $3 million bucks. That's an easy one. But then I'm going to leave you with this little nugget. Think about this, chew on it, mull it over. The Ducks got snubbed when it came to the year that Sidney Crosby was drafted, and we missed out on a first overall pick with that one. And then the Connor Bedard draft comes around and Chicago gets the first pick. We get the second. Thank God for Leo Carlsson. But the Ducks keep getting snubbed on first round draft picks. So why don't the Ducks reach for the stars and go for Patty Kane? Patrick Kane on the Ducks in Ducks orange, out here scoring goals, motivating guys like Trevor Zegras and Leo Carlsson and Cutter Gauthier. Talk about a Stanley Cup champion winning mentality. And he gets to come out here and basically retire in the most amazing place, play some golf out in Newport, and go to Turtle Hill and just have a blast out there with the boys. Like, come on, Patrick Kane. Look at everything we got out here. Orange County is the next home for you, my man. What a perfect place to end your career. Come on over. We got you. Patrick Kane, Ducks orange. Next year, I'm calling it. It's probably a complete pipe dream, but just chew on that for a little bit tonight after that overtime loss. Ducks have Nashville coming up on Thursday, but I'm going to be here tomorrow on Wednesday. You know it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here every single day for you guys. Don't you worry about it. Not a single bit. Make sure you keep liking and subscribing and sharing with all of your fellow Ducks fans and your family and your friends and anyone else that you want to get into the Ducks mindset, get them connected, get them hooked, get them into this fan base, get them into Orange Country. We're open to any kind of immigrants out here in Orange Country. Bring them out, bring them out, bring them out. You know how it is. Just like that song. I can't remember who sings that right now. But I'm so thankful for you guys for tuning in. So please, please, please keep sharing, liking, and subscribing. And thank you for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NHL podcast, bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter with the local coverage that you love from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Continue listening to this podcast. And my name is Kyle Carr. Be good out there.